Well, here we are. We're at the river. This is a beautiful Arkansas river. It's a little bit higher today. It's not too high. About to take the canoe out and head down towards Belle Plaine. Looking forward to this beautiful day out on the river.
You know, who train on this kind of stuff. And of course, this river is a pud compared to the really big rivers in California and Grand Canyon.
Oh, you go to Colorado, those rivers are moving so fast.
Yeah.
They're just zipping along, and they're full of kayakers. They go there just for those rivers.
This river is one of the most highly used rivers in the United States. There are more people get on this river than any other river in the United States.
That's surprising.
It's not surprising that you were up at Salida, in Buena Vista.
Okay, yeah, in Colorado, yes. It's like a different river there. I've been to where it starts.
As a matter of fact, there's a court case that says that the Arkansas River is two different rivers, and that's why Colorado can dam it up and use all the water. That has never been overturned, but it's obviously a piece of political maneuvering.
Obviously, well, it has become that because they pumped it dry.
Exactly.
It's not that way if it wasn't being pumped dry. They have a dam on it.
Yeah, and of course, environmentally, it's much more sound to let that water go down the river and let Kansas farmers pump all the water until it's dry.
Right. Well, they do that anyway.
Yeah, they do. And along here, too.
Well, there's a couple more snags right there.
Yeah, you don't want to run across something like that because what it'll do is the force of the river forces your boat up on top of it, higher and higher and higher, until it turns over.
Right.
With you under it.
Of course. There comes a point when you need to get out of the boat. We'll try not to hit snags. I can still hit touch the bottom with the paddle, but we're not dragging bottom the way we were.
Okay, I think right about now you can't touch the bottom. It's deeper.
Yeah, now we're deep.
You can't touch the bottom, but I'm sure you can.
We are deeper here.
Probably 3 feet deep. Oh wow, deeper than that.
Yeah, we're in the channel now.
We're 4 or 5 feet deep. 4 feet deep, probably.
Okay, there's a snag on our left we want to miss. Now the river's flowing more than last time. We could have put in Derby then, since we're not worried about, Derby didn't close the river. I was at that part, but I didn't go all the way down to the put in because there was a sea of mud. Well, the river is a little bit, actually this is better for navigating today. I kind of thought it was going to be bigger and faster than it is. But you still have your sandbar there.
I did too. Right straight ahead of us is a place I call Moonbird. The bank is eroding very rapidly. And the water goes over the top of the river right there. It flows down through the forest, right straight in front of us.
Okay, yeah.
And I call that Moonbird Creek, right straight in front of us.
That's kind of a low spot there. It's higher over here and a little bit higher over that way.
Yeah.
So we're now the channel is now heading across the river.
Snag over here.
Yeah, I see there's a snag.
Shallow spot.
Okay, are we going to go left of that snag?
Yeah, we're going to go past it.
Okay.
One time I was going down the river like this, just floating, and about this far from the shore, and there was a hole over in the bank, and I looked at it, and I was like, I wonder what made that hole. And so I went down the river about 30, 40 feet beyond the hole. And then I very gently paddled back to look at that hole some more. And there was a beaver in it.
Yeah?
That's the most remarkable thing. That beaver was obviously in that hole when I went by it. And I stayed away from it, the opening, so I wouldn't be able to see it. And then when I went against the current, the beaver would have reasoned that I was already gone, so it's okay for her to come to the mouth of her cave.
Right.
You know, animals are real smart about what they need to know. And
Yeah.
they're real stupid about human intelligence. And of course, we're the same way. We don't think like dogs do,
No.
or beaver, or anything else. But I think that hunters began to realize how these animals think.
I think the Indians really keyed in on that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
'Cause they
they essentially lived with the animals. And the white man hunters that married into the Indians, why they were the same way. They developed the same kind of skill. I don't think it's something that's better about Indians or anything. It's just a matter of
Training.
training
Yeah, they learned it from birth.
from birth on.
Sometimes that passes on between the generations too.
There's a lot of erosion over here.
There's eroding here.
That's my farm is.
So you're losing farm on this side and gaining it on the other?
Yeah.
You know,
That's what it is. And it's a reversal of what occurred 40, 50, 60 years ago.
well, I'm enjoying this canoe, and I was wondering how much I was going to like it, but I do. This is where the channel used to be. We're passing that. That was on the night
Where the shore used to be.
the river went through there.
Well, 1981.
So that's 40 years ago.
Well, that's when it shows up on the maps.
There's a snag on our right.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. I didn't even see it. That would be something we really wouldn't want to hit.
Here's a place the river ran up on the ground, and then right beyond it, you have a high spot.
Well, now this is another spot, just like the 1980, where the 81 river went.
Yeah.
This is another hair in essentially this thing I call a secret island.
Yeah.
And I call this one Mont Spot Michelle after Island Ram. And this is badly eroding, and the beaver are contributing to it by killing all the trees.
Okay. Well, in some places it's good to have beaver. If you're out in the middle of the prairie, they will dam up creeks and raise the water level, and so you get more growing than if they weren't there. But I think some places people just don't want them.
Some of them have engineering degrees.
Yes. If you've been to Lake Canopolis, that's where the...
Well, we need to go way out here.
Okay. Are we going to head for the other shore now?
Yeah, we better go clear over to the other shore. I didn't realize how shallow this is getting.
It's shallow.
I can see it now.
Well, at Lake Canopolis, they have these sandstone formations and these trails through these canyons and creeks and all through there, and the beavers have just multiplied. When they have a race called the Rocking K race, because they have horses there and there's a horse corral named Rocking K. If you do one loop, it's a marathon. If you do two loops, it's a 50-mile. There used to be one beaver crossing, one beaver dam crossing. It was 2 miles from the end, and it was chest deep. Well, now they've got beaver crossings all over. Beaver pond crossings, I should say. So people are out there. Sometimes you run across the dam, which I'm sure the beavers don't like. And sometimes you just go across the pond. And if you know where to go, it's not as deep. Right down the middle, it's almost chest deep because the horses have just dug a big trench. If you go right, it's waist deep, but you're in something that's almost like quicksand. If you go left, it's about waist deep. You don't get stuck in the mud so bad. So I've done that a bunch of times.
Over here on the right, if we were to get out of the canoe, canoe and walk up into that
Uh-huh.
you would see an enormous sinkhole,
Oh, okay.
and it isn't deep, but it's large.
Does it show up on the Google Maps?
No. No, it's relatively recent development probably. It's caused by the well that is sucking up all of the water and causing the sand to collapse upon itself.
Oh, okay.
And so
That's back on the shore. The other day it was way out there, so this river's gone down. Go ahead, go back to what you're talking about.
well, it's just kind of an interesting thing. And a lot of people think that the river's going to go right over to the right here.
Well, I think rivers are interesting. Down on the Rio Grande River between the United States and Mexico, they have had border disputes on the river that have gone on for 100 years. Whenever they get a border disagreement because the river changes, it takes them about 60, 100 years to resolve it. And there are places on the south side of the river that are United States and places on the north side that were Mexico. And there was a whole group of people saying that they were born in that little tiny plot of land on the south side of the river, and they were therefore United States citizens. And that became a big court dispute. You can imagine that. Kept a lot of attorneys busy. And so finally, the two countries, after about 60, 70 years, were able to get together to just swap some land. We're going left or right of that snag?
Let's go left closer to the shore.
Okay.
And there's a couple of snags in there.
Yes, there's a couple.
Thank you for saying about that, something about it, because I wasn't looking at that. I was looking at something else.
Now we got a snag straight ahead and a big one off to the right. So we can go over to between the middle snag and the shore. Let us skirt these snags quite a bit.
Yeah. And if we were floating down the river in our PFDs, we sure want to approach something like that feet first.
Yeah.
As your feet drove into that pile of brush and crap, what's going to happen is your body is going to be washed to the left of it or the right of it. Well, this is really big.
Right.
What's this guy?
Okay, that is
Must be a vulture.
the vulture. He's looking for dead bodies. I have been in the woods and come up on a large flock of vultures in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And it is impressive. It's like a scene from an Alfred Hitchcock movie. To see all these giant birds just taking off. Have you taken this all the way down to Ark City?
Yeah. Going down to about 20 miles below Fall Lake in Oklahoma.
Oh, from here?
Yeah, and I have a friend who lives in Stillwater. He led a Sierra Club trip one time. He put in at Fall Lake, the dam on Fall Lake.
Yeah.
Now, other than going with him on that trip one time, most of my trips on this river have ended at Fall Lake, the northern end of Fall Lake, which is the dams on the south.
Probably ought to go to the right of this snag, but
I agree with you.
it looks like it's going to be shallow on the left.
I think you're correct. Let's head kind of straight ahead from where we are right now.
Yeah, we can get,
They'll stay more or less.
there's a sandbar here, and then there's a river channel off of that shore. And this river is pushing us down a little better than last time we were on it. I think this was a lot faster the other day when I hiked out here and looked at that oil well. It's like, oh, it's no longer on the shore, it's way out there. Okay, we're going to get shallow here real quick. We are shallow. We needed to be further to our left. Now we cleared the sandbar. There's another vulture out there. There's a couple of them out. There's a whole bunch of them up there. This is good country for vultures.
Relax when you're canoeing and don't pass handle. You can't just rely on it, but the power of the river sucks you into the strongest, the best place to go.
Yeah.
And you do that a lot with raft.
Well, if you're in a raft, you're kind of at the mercy of the river, other than just maybe a little bit of steering.
Yeah, that's right. They say on the Grand Canyon, running the big waterfalls and rapids, that the whole thing is lining it up correctly. And that's right. That's it. When you line it up correctly,
You run one of those rafting companies, done it a couple of times.
you know how to line it up.
I think you learn fast.
Yeah, you do. I flipped on a 7, which was, it was as far as when you hear that brush pile down there, I could see exactly what was going to happen. And there was nothing to do about it. There was kind of a trench in the river. It was low, real low. The water was just running right straight down toward this big flipper, and I could just see it coming. You ought to take a look at this. And we're pretty much out of the limestone.
Oh, and they got a fence on that creek.
You can't go up it, but it's worth looking up there.
Well, that's another side creek that looks interesting. The river kind of backs up into it when it's this full. So we're past all the limestone.
Well, here's I thought we were, but look at the left here right now. We're not past it.
It looks like there's something splashing the water. Do you want to go right or left or straight ahead?
Let's just drift and see where it takes us.
Okay.
Because it's probably, those rocks are an obstruction. We may avoid the rock.
See, right there is something under.
Yeah, I'm
So
sure
we
that's
can.
where we don't want to go.
The river's going to try to avoid the obstruction. So there's a few. I remember last time there was a couple of sets of limestone close to each other. And then we go under this power line. I'm sure that's a big event, stretching those wires across the river.
I think there's a set of cement steps.
Oh yes, I remember those, the cement steps. Is that a house or is that irrigation pump they're running water to?
House, I think.
Okay.
Seems like I got out and walked up there toward it. I didn't.
There's the ladder. Yes, somebody's ladder to get down to the river. Right ahead of us, yes, there's a stairway. Okay. Somebody's house is up there and they can just walk down the stairs into the river, go boating or fishing or whatever it is they want to do. They even have a little thing there to tie their boat on. My most watched video is Remember Thomas Stanley. It's just a memorial for this guy who was killed by lightning at a race. And it's got, people watch on average 87%, which is just anything above 50% is excellent. 40% is good. It's been watched 700 times. I bet his widow watches it every now and then. That was a strange, bizarre thing.
His name was Stanley?
Stanley, Thomas Stanley. Had a wife and 3 little kids.
This was a foot race?
This was a foot race. It was a flat rock 50K at Elk City Lake near Independence. He was a half mile from the end and this little tiny thunderstorm blew in for just a few minutes. He was running below the dam and lightning hit him and he was gone. There was a doctor there who tried to give him CPR and everything and it didn't work. The dam towered 100 foot over him with a metal guardrail on the edge of the dam. On the other side there was a field and trees beyond it and you'd think lightning had hit anything but there. It wasn't the high point. I'm looking at the geometry. The lightning had to come out of just one exact spot in the sky. It's just too bizarre. You know, things happen.
You know, the lightning sometimes comes out of the ground.
Yes.
Goes up into the sky, too.
There could have been a feature in the ground that was feeding the lightning. I would have expected it to come off the top of the dam. It didn't. Well, I don't think we're going to have trouble hitting the bank today because...
I don't either. But we could have a big problem.
The water's flowing better than last time, but not that fast. Elk River going into Elk City Lake normally is just kind of part of the lake. When it was under flood, that was like whitewater and it was deep. There was 31 feet of flood stage, so 30 feet deep of water was just churning.
Wow.
That's a flood control lake.
Did you notice as you were hiking down there to meet me, the catalpas on my place
Yes.
are all in bloom. And I mowed out part of that trail, and I mowed out around some of the catalpa trees. I think I told you that they. Well, what time of day did you go up on your trip up Long's Peak?
We started about 2 o'clock in the morning.
I did too. The first time I went up, I went up at 2 o'clock.
We drove straight from Wichita there, and we were supposed to leave Wichita early, and we left late, and we just said we'll sleep in the parking lot, and then we couldn't sleep, so we just got out of the car and headed up the peak. So it was 11 hours from Wichita to the top of Long's Peak.
Well, I started up about 2 o'clock. City blocks in length from the tree line. And I got up the trail a ways, and this big rock in front of me started to move, is what I thought it was at first. And then I could see it was a human.
Well, that's a wrap. It was a great trip.